Make sure you get them through one for that.
Okay, it's 9 o'clock. We call the meeting to order to stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Look for approval of the agenda.
So I didn't see on here before we do that, did we wanna have a closed session for negotiation? We talked about it, I don't see
August
it.
19th.
Yeah, okay. Now I'll make a move. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Second.
Motion and agenda. A motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Meeting minutes were sent out.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of July 15th, 2025.
Second to it.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion on any of the minutes? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The warrants sent out.
I'll make a motion to pay the warrants.
There's a motion, yes, and a second. Any discussion on any of them? Not all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Wendy Sue or Heather is on the line, so.
Okay.
First.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me here today. We have a procedural step before the county board this morning. You might remember back on May 20th, Jamie and I presented to the board, and the projects for the drainage ditch number 3 and number 21 with maximum special assessment terms were approved by the board. And at this time, what we would like to do is ask the board to approve a resolution which approves the issuance of the general obligation drainage bonds. And in effect, what it does is it allows us to solicit bids for the financing component. And then once we do that, we will come back to the board one more time and we will ask for a resolution to be approved that has all the terms of the financing. But there is a really short, slightly over 1-page resolution before you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Heather, excuse me, Mr. Chair, I got a question. So the administrative costs and the term of the debt, the maximum years, that didn't change, that's still 15 years, right? It shows it here. Did we talk about less time frame for ditch 3?
We did. We spoke about 10 years for the smaller project and then 15 for the longer. And what this does is it gives us the ability to seek bids within certain parameters. So we had to include a maximum dollar amount. We were we added a contingency and we made that $5 million. It also allows us to put in a maximum rate that would be on the financing. And again, we wanted to be a little conservative, so we put in a 5% rate for that. We would expect that both the par amount would be less than that 5 million, and we expect that the financing true interest cost, which is the rate on the bonds, would be less than 5%. But we just wanted to allow for any market swings. There have been a lot of volatility in the market this year with how the tariffs have gone on and off and some of the other geopolitical things happening. So we just wanted to make sure that we would be able to get this completed.
Anybody got any other questions?
My other question would be if Chad is on, I'm assuming we're good to go, Chad?
Chad's not on,
He's
but
not.
in prior discussions, he said yes.
Yeah.
I might also just add one other piece of information for you all. So we have been very active in soliciting local banks. So we've got a number of the local banking institutions that will be getting the request for proposal so that you will hopefully be able to have a local bank participation. And I worked with Chad on that list, and I know he shared it with somebody else internally. And I can't remember who that was, and they also thought it was a good list. So happy to take any other questions.
Anybody else got anything?
No, if you have a resolution number, Tina, I will move to resolve. You have one?
This is Chad. Did you guys have a question for me? I just got logged in.
Mhm.
My question, and Tina answered that you were good with everything where we're at.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'll second that motion or that resolution.
All in favor of the resolution? What was the number, Tina?
I'm sorry. I do think that you need a roll call vote for these resolutions, if I may.
Okay. Bill?
Yes.
Dwight?
Yes.
Doyle, yes. Troy?
Yes.
Motion or the resolution passes. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
John, Jen?
Morning. So we got notification from Value Ford or Bureau now that the pickup truck to replace the one that Jen is currently driving is now in. So the question comes is what is the board's decision on what to do with the 2015 F-150 that we currently have. When we first started looking at trading value back in March, we're at 15,560 is what they would trade. The truck still currently holds its value roughly at about $15,000 because of the extended mileage or the additional miles on it. We are currently at 99,846 miles. Ford would like that vehicle. If it was the board decided to trade it in, would like to keep it under the 99,000. And so as it sits right now, I've instructed staff not to even drive it until further notice. If we needed a pickup truck, we have some other options. So and the other issue is once Ford receives that pickup, as did Vero, they have 10 days before they start seeing the interest, asking for interest to be paid on that. And we're right about that 10-day time frame now. So couple things. I know that it was approved. Cost of the county was $48,319 without the trade. I know that Ford would like to get paid, but then the other decision is what does the board want to do with that pickup truck at this point?
You have an older one that you rotate or not, or?
Yeah, so what we've historically done with the trucks is the sheriff and the chief deputy, the county purchases those vehicles, right? So we keep them for 5 years as a patrol vehicle, and then we roll them down into an extra backup vehicle, unmarked, and then keep it for an additional 5 more years. So it's a 10-year-old vehicle when it comes time again for us to purchase a new one and trade. So.
Mr. Chair, could you have an invoice for this, right? Okay, so I would make the motion that we get this bill paid and we issue the check immediately, because normally we would hold that, so we don't get interest. We don't want to be paying interest.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd get that to the auditor and get that check issued, so.
Yeah,
I'll second that.
we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
My thought on the old one is let's not. I don't know that we're gonna get our value trading it in. Let's take that and reevaluate everything else where we're at.
Your water safety pickup is, you know, are you rotating into that? So you're just gonna keep the same one you got?
That's the one.
That's the
Okay.
one.
So
So
the
no
way
less.
this works now is after we get the new one, her current truck moves into
That role.
that role.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing to do. Yep. Agreed.
So what are we gonna do with this one then?
So we're not gonna trade this one in?
That's just my thought, if we don't trade it in and we
I
say,
don't think we should.
I know environmental services wants another vehicle. I don't know where highway's at, let's evaluate, maybe this one's better than something else we have, if we should. We seem to sell stuff every year from highway, we sell something else.
Mhm.
That's my thought on
Well,
it.
then
Sounds like a plan to me.
Very good.
So on that though, we should have someone with vehicles now, so we kind of have them spread out. Who should be overall in charge of county, not sheriff's office, obviously, but county vehicles? To see when we need more, should we have one person that's in charge, or will we just each department?
I think it's a department thing, and then they can budget for the repairs and tires and things like that, so we're.
Well, what if 2 departments want this truck?
cut it in half. Got 4 doors.
We don't need an answer on it today, but if that comes up, we'll have to figure out how we can do that.
Yeah, so when we get to that point, when we do the transfers, there's equipment that needs to come out of, that truck. And we'll make those arrangements through going forward. Services, they have that done, and then it'll be. I guess it'll be the county's decision on what they wanna do with it and where it goes.
Can't do nothing with it till it's cleaned out, I mean, till the stuff's out of it anyway.
Well, you could, but.
Yeah.
Years back, John, if I can ask a question here, you had trouble with heater cores and these Explorers and things like that.
Mhm.
So an extra vehicle or anything like that, just in case you had to backfill, if you had two of them down or something was going on.
Well, that's quite a lengthy discussion in itself. I mean, when we had the issue with all the heater cores and the SUVs, we were also short 2 deputies.
Right.
So we have those extra squads that the other deputies were able to use, but just so happened to be is that 1 or 2 of those extra squads ended up having a heater core issue as well.
Right.
So yeah, that pickup truck, did get used quite a bit,
Yep.
as a backup squad car, and we need it for those purposes that, yeah.
Cold water.
Yeah, and then because of the leases with the SUVs and then a couple of the pickup trucks. Trying to watch the mileage on that, we encourage the staff. More, when they're going to trainings, to take that extra squad. Put the miles on that instead of the lease vehicles.
Right.
Save that for the patrol.
Okay,
Thank you.
Justin? Morning.
So I have received a application for a candidate for my assistant county attorney position. I would like to fill that. He's a 2021 grad from UND, has been working in litigation in Duluth. He's a commander in the US Navy Reserves. And although he is from Duluth, he has connections. He's actually the Legion commander over in Evansville. So he makes frequent trips back. The 2 things that I wanted to visit with you about is based upon his experience, the difficulty that I've had trying to fill the position over the last 20 months, and his other public service. I would like to start him at step 5 of the scale. And, I think it's, I don't know if I visited with you guys about this, but about 2 years ago, the public defender system got a substantial increase, and we saw even elected county attorneys moving from their role as the county attorney into the public defender's office, and recruitment and retention has been a difficulty in our positions. The other item is he will not be relocating. He'll be here about 10 days a month. So it would be a hybrid position. Of course, the technology within my office is my responsibility, and we have the phone system where it's internet protocol, so he can plug that in. Calls can get transferred to him. We have dual authentication, so we can access e-charging and LETG, which has all of the reports and matters like that, from anywhere we are at. So.
Do you have any questions?
And as soon as he convinces his wife to move, then.
So Justin, how many hours a week is he gonna work?
For the county, it'd be 30 hours per week is I have budgeted for. He has health insurance benefits. Otherwise, during my budget committee meeting with the finance committee, I indicated that that's an expense that the county is not going to have to foot. He does have a family, so that is, a significant savings over, the years.
So will he be, going into court most of the time then, or is that?
So my plan with like most of my assistants is that, he will, initially be handling, the misdemeanors, some of the gross misdemeanors. I would continue to handle the felonies until, I get a sense of if there's issues. His practice now is litigation, so he's not fearful of the courtroom. He knows that our contested hearings and of course our trials are all in person and that he's gonna have to be here, for those. But that will be, his primary, workload. He will, I'll have him review new cases that come to us for consideration of prosecution. Just so that we get on the same page regarding our philosophy, and things like that.
Anything else? So you were looking for a motion
To approve both the hybrid and the step 5.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Matt?
Very nice. Man, I've seen that before.
Yeah, that's not bad, but we'll take it.
So I'm looking for approval for final acceptance of, and it's the final payment on contract number 2406. It's the Stony Brook culvert replacement. And for,
That's the 1% that's left.
yeah.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion and a second. For the Stony Brook culvert. Any more discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. There's Matt.
Yep.
Matt, before I forget, what's their timeline on 55?
55,
Well, like over the, I was thinking.
was it? The top of my head, was it September 12th? It has to be.
Yeah, first week of September.
Yeah,
That's,
something like
yeah.
that.
Close to them. Yep. Thank you.
Yep. Well, good morning, commissioners.
Morning.
We're here today. I'm with, Jeff with Seth. As you are aware, they've been working on our CASA 5 project down in Hoffman. That we got the LRIP grant for, which I see Senator Rasmussen is here and played a part in that as well, so. Big thanks to him. We've worked through most of the design aspects of the project. Now we're down pretty much to the last design issue that we wanted to review with the board. It would be the intersection of CASA 5 and Trunk Highway 55, where it crosses the railroad tracks there. Got a couple options for you that we put into your packet for you guys to take a look at, and I'll just allow Jeff to speak to both of them, just a little high altitude overview of the issues with them and pros and cons, I guess.
All right, thank you. As Matt said, we have two options. Option A is the one that initially was submitted with the LRIP application. It's more of just a turning intersection, a little less traditional, with the township road, just kind of teeing off on a curve just before the majority of the curve, for CASA 5. It involves possibly just a little bit more of a right-of-way aspect than the option B. But it is a little bit shorter in regards to the length of it. Total cost of these two projects are these two options that are fairly negligible. As far as I would say, kind of pick the one that is preferred right now. From a safety standpoint, that would be option B, and that's the one the highway committee is recommending. It provides a little more traditional intersection, if you would, with the township road. The right-of-way piece is a little bit more straightforward. in my opinion. And then it also does allow for a future component there within a quiet zone within the city, if in fact that's something that all parties want to move forward. So it allows for some other safety features that option A does not. So with that, I'll kind of open it up for questions from board.
I don't have any questions other than Matt and I talked about this morning a little bit, and they can actually leave the one crossing in place while they're installing another.
That's correct.
That's probably the best case scenario in itself right there.
Yeah.
You can do the road work and get it all put together and still keep the train traffic going, because that's a critical element right there in that
Yeah.
project.
Yep, and you can keep portions of the road open as well.
Right.
Build a new road wall.
Yeah.
So I guess what we'd be looking for is just a motion to go with option B.
I'll make that motion to go with option B, Mr. Chair.
And as a recommendation from the highway committee, I will second that motion.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Okay, Senator Rasmussen?
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning.
Commissioners.
Morning.
Thank you for having me here today. I appreciate the opportunity to give a brief legislative update, and I'm happy to take any questions, complaints, concerns, feedback that the board may have. First off, just want to start off with gratitude for the opportunity to partner to help serve the people of Grant County. And I think one good example of that has been on emergency medical services, where this board and other officials within the county raised this as a key concern. And we actually had the EMS task force meet here in this room to get feedback from this community, and were able to take action in both the 2024 session and this last session to make some improvements on funding for rural EMS. And so that's just one point I just want to thank Grant County for their engagement on. I would say a couple key highlights that I wanted to put in front of you from this legislative session. One is on something we were able to stop with the help of county commissioners from across the state. And another thing is something that we were able to get done that I think will benefit Grant County and other communities in the area. On the item that we were able to stop, early on in the legislative session, Governor Walz proposed a $460 million cost shift to the counties within the human services budget. And so this would have taken costs that have traditionally been paid for by the state and would have shifted it onto counties and eventually raised property taxes. And appreciate Grant County running the numbers along with a bunch of other counties. And the numbers we got back was that this $460 million cost shift would have increased property taxes anywhere from 5 to 9%, depending on the area. And especially for our more rural counties, we saw a bigger impact. And so thankfully we had, I held a press conference with a number of county commissioners. We had held a hearing on this issue where county officials were able to come and testify and talk about the impact this would have on property taxpayers. I'm glad to say that we were able to eliminate that county cost shift that was proposed in the state human services budget. And something good that came out of this legislative session that I was happy to work on as one of the lead Republican negotiators was a $700 million capital investment bill that got passed during the June special session. One thing in particular that I think is a good feature of this bill, and it's a first for my time in the legislature, it had no earmarks. It had no pet projects. It was all focused on the core infrastructure needs of the state. And I think that that type of bill will benefit the communities within Grant County. Within that bill, we had $291 million going towards water projects, road projects, bridges, and flood hazard mitigation. And so, for example, we were able to replenish funds for the local road improvement program, which Grant County has utilized before. You're utilizing on the Hoffman project that was just talked about. We also have one of the largest investments in wastewater and drinking water infrastructure that local communities will be able to apply for. And I know the city of Elbow Lake is considering making some improvements that they would be able to benefit from those funds. And then I would just say, as you're working with your communities, that in your commissioner districts, please feel free to reach out to me on if you have any communities that are looking at doing road projects or water projects, because now is a good time to consider that given the new money in this capital investment bill. And then the last item I'll highlight in the capital investment bill was a $55 million investment we made in the Anoka Metro Regional Treatment Center, which is our state's largest psychiatric hospital. And one of the big concerns that we've heard about from county sheriffs and county attorneys is that we have a lot of individuals waiting for a state facility that are civilly committed. And we have sometimes these individuals waiting in our county jails for 100+ days before a bed opens up at one of our state hospital facilities. And so this $55 million investment will increase capacity by 50 beds, which will mean that they'll be able to serve hundreds of more patients per year, which should reduce that wait time for individuals to get into that facility. And I appreciate the support from the county attorneys and county sheriffs within the area I represent, including Grant County, to help get that done and to make that improvement. So I'll stop there. There's a lot I could talk about that happened during the legislative session and afterwards, but we'd be happy to take any questions or feedback from the board, Mr. Chair.
So I got a question.
Yeah.
Senator. So was that a bonding, or was that cash that went into some of the project that you're talking about, the infrastructure project? Was that tied to the bonding bill, or what was that?
Yes, that was the bonding bill. And so this year there's a $700 million general obligation capital investment bill that will be funding roads, water infrastructure, flood hazard mitigation, the mental health expansion at our state facilities, and some other priorities that we have.
Okay, so another question here. So did he pick up some of the funding for the LRIP for towns of 5,000 and under? Or did that number plateau and they're not gonna put any more into it according to the eligibility of the list? And, you gotta stop somewhere, right?
Yeah, so on LRIP, their counties are eligible. They have a large city, small city bucket, and then townships. And we set aside, I believe it's basically an extra $5 million for townships to help them get projects done. And so in the area I represent, I've had counties, large cities, small cities, and townships all be successful in funding. I think sometimes it can be harder for townships just because of the engineering costs it can take to get an application ready. So I would say I've typically seen some of the higher population townships be more successful that are having larger, $1 million+ road projects, but it can be smaller for those, smaller upgrades for that program to be successful.
Right. And we're still the fiscal piece for the LGU, correct? None of that changed, right? As a county?
Yeah,
Matt's not. Right.
Yes, and so you might be hearing from local communities that will need your county engineers sign off to apply for LRIP. And I would say District 4 for MnDOT, works really closely with me as well to kind of talk through different projects that are coming up. And so appreciate any communication on those as communities are considering applying.
Thank you.
The wetland replacement credits are desperately needed, and as counties, I think we'll always say we would like that put into Bowser's budget rather than bonding, because it provides stability. And then that Anoka Hennepin, yes, we need more beds, but we also need that next tier down, where counties, And I don't know the law enforcement world. What I know is the counties really get hammered on the do not meet criteria days, where now we have someone stuck there because we can't get them into that next level down. And it's thousands of dollars a day. I know we can't do everything all at once.
Thank you, and I appreciate the feedback on the, wetland replacement program, and in the bonding bill, I believe it's around $5 million in funding that was included to replenish that. I know this area in particular is quite short. So hopefully that will help relieve some of the costs that counties and others face when doing those types of projects. On I totally agree that it's on mental health. It's really about having that continuum, and our state psychiatric hospitals, if you were to think about a scale from 1 to 10, they're the 9 and 10, right? Where the most acute patients are sent. And I one thing that we've looked at and had some success with, but would welcome feedback on, is on crisis stabilization units. And when I was in the House, passed a bill to increase funding for those, and that led to one being opened up in Hoffman. And so trying to have, that's more on the earlier stage, voluntary, not civilly committed. But there is, more need to build out that continuum. And so I know Clay County has been looking at doing a regional facility. Otter Tail County has been in, early conversations about exploring adding capacity. And I think that's an opportunity as well for counties to work together to see if there could be more of a regional solution to some of those needs too. And I'm happy to support those efforts.
Anybody else have anything for?
Oh, I suspect the senator will be hearing more from us after September when we meet and discuss platforms.
Right.
And priorities.
And I will say, I have appreciated, getting to work with AMC, and I think they've been a really, effective, advocate on behalf of counties, especially with the county cost shift. They were able to mobilize commissioners from across the state, rural, metro, suburban, to come out and talk about the impact that those going to have. And so appreciate getting a chance to work with them on a host of issues.
Wonderful. Thank you for coming to the Fleck Fest parade.
It's a lot of fun.
Appreciate
We
it.
had all of them.
A lot of fun.
Did you hit them all? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I was to quite a few of them.
Do quite a few.
Yeah.
That's good. Grant County, like
That's your father in the car there, right?
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun.
I know him. I know who he is. Anyway.
He sent me a text yesterday on something. Is he in LA for you? I mean, legislative assistant?
Oh, we have lots of help.
I suppose.
I'm like, I forwarded on the appropriate people that I thought should read that thing. It was good. It was tied to Medicare.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen it, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
You see a lot of stuff go in front of you, I would guess.
I'd say, one of the big things, and this impacts counties that we continue to see issues with, is human services fraud. And so, like the news from last week is the governor decided to shut down the housing stabilization program just because of the rampant fraud that was discovered in that program. And to give you a sense, the initial cost estimate for that program was $2.6 million per year, and last year it cost taxpayers about $107 million. And so I think that's something I'll put on your radar. Is I would anticipate, because of how Minnesota is structured, where we have a largely county administered human services system, that I think the work that counties and the state will be doing around program integrity is going to be increasing, not decreasing, over the coming years. And there'll be work and costs associated with that as well. But hopefully in the long run, you'll have savings because you're making sure the dollars are going where they're supposed to go and not to criminals.
If I could make a statement on that, I don't think anybody's against program integrity. Just remember, as layers of things are added, funding may be provided now that is removed the next time there's a crisis, right? So it is still, my opinion, is still better provided through the counties. It's just let's not fund something now that 5 years from now, the funding goes away, and then we're scrambling again, so. And nobody here sitting here is against oversight, it's just how do we do that without having funding removed down the road? So that's what seems to happen, is, here, do this, here's money. Okay, now we need that money back. So that's what I would say, cause it sounds to me like we're being set up for more unfunded mandates down the road.
Cost shifts.
Yep.
That's what that is. The numbers start to decrease. There's not an inflator, goes the other way.
And another thing, the senator here helped us, secure a grant thing for the exhibit building at the fairgrounds a couple years ago also, so.
Good fair. Saw a lot of people there this year.
That's a good one. I appreciate your availability whenever Bill and I decide to call you on the phone at 7 o'clock at night. He answers and gives us the information, so. Appreciate your work on that EMS. We got some more to do though. So.
Well, I'll touch on that a little bit, some of the paperwork that come down the pipe before the webinar. We needed critical answers coming out of that because that group wanted, some things that we couldn't answer, you know what I mean? And the reflections of, and it was good that you did answer your phone, and that was great. They were amazed. A couple of them walked out of there and they went, what? He answers your phone. I said, once in a while he does, but he said, he's a busy man. You're busy, I know you are. So.
I appreciate the partnership, and I think, the relationship between the state and the county is very close, and I think if a lot of opportunities for collaboration, whether it's on mental health care access or EMS or road infrastructure, other key items, and so please let me know how I can be helpful in serving our shared constituents.
Anybody else?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you,
Thank
Senator.
you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Angie and Jared?
Team spirit, so they're doing.
Morning,
Morning.
Doing good?
doing great. It's a good day. Well, thanks for having us join this morning. We are here with a memorandum of agreement for having Horizon be delegated to support the cannabis business registration. We've been working with a committee around some of those ordinance type kind of guidelines that will be reviewed here in a little bit. But what this memorandum kind of talks about is how we support the administration side. So Horizon supports currently Grant County tobacco licensing. So this would be for those cannabis retail businesses and the low potency hemp edible businesses. And so essentially it mirrors what the tobacco licensing MOA looks like, along with a little bit of a change. One of those changes is, as we've done some of the tobacco business licenses, not all of the costs from the administration side is covered by our portion of the registration fees. And so knowing that we're looking to change the tobacco process a little bit, we wanted to kind of iron that out for this cannabis business registration process. So one of the key differences in this one says that we are going to be keeping track of staff time. We'll be keeping track of course, the registration fees. And then anything that's not covered, Horizon would annually bill the county and the county would cover those expenses. And so wondering if you have any questions on this MOA.
Mr. Chair, I do actually. It says Grant County shall, the number 6, Grant County shall receive all cannabis sales and use taxes distributed to local governments pursuant to. Okay, well, did the governor not squash that?
They did, but if it comes back, we just kept it in here. If you'd like, we could remove it. But there's still a lot of changes happening with what's happening with cannabis business, that we just left it in there for now.
Okay. So regardless of, you know what I mean, the statute, we're still subject to state law, right? Or any kind of budgeting that goes on down the state, right?
Yep.
Okay. That was the question that I had out of all of this.
Anybody else have anything?
Looks good to me.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair. Oh,
We're discussing the draft right now?
yeah.
No, but
The MOA. I'll make the motion for the memorandum of agreement.
I'll second it, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you guys for your work on this.
Yes.
Happy to help.
Here. How's the 5,000 and under? It's what they call a LRIP plan, and it didn't used to, nobody applied for it, so then it rolled it into the rest of the state dollars. Okay, well, now everybody's kind of seeing the writing on the wall, and Rasmussen, Senator Rasmussen put together a deal. And there was a bunch of cities and some county people that it was there, and kind of made that up because it had got forgotten.
Yeah.
Nobody knew what was going on. I don't know. I thought the mayor was there. Think.
Make sure. He can.
They gotta do something. Yeah. We are just like what I mentioned too, so they didn't change their language. We are the fiscal piece, we're the LGU, as the sponsor on it, that's how that works.
I'm gonna talk to Matt about it.
Hey, if they got an engineer. That's it, you gotta have an engineer.
Well, maybe, well, we have.
That being said,
Yeah.
you gotta have an engineer. It's gotta be tied to all of that. Or you just will not even put the application on.
Right.
Cause you won't get it.
Oh, yeah. They hop on a truck quick, get some opposition.
Reed's here and he's on the agenda for after the public hearing, since we have some time, he could give his updates now if he wanted to.
Okay. In the committee updates.
No, Reed could do environmental services.
Okay.
He's here if you want,
Sure, we can do that.
and then we.
Figured versus sitting here in silence or semi-silence for 10 more minutes till it starts, we could take a little bit off. So the first deal on there is kind of how we talked a while ago, is every quarter you kind of get an update of where solid waste, like the organics is at. So that is what this is. This first part is, shows all those tables where each city's at, and or about on par, but the same as last year. It hasn't, we don't really fluctuate, you know, we fluctuate with the time of the year. Winter we're slow, summer where tonnages go up, but we're making some progress in Barrett on the organic side. Rita's been really pushing that for some of her businesses, and then I have a city clerks meeting today. So between her and I, we're gonna try and get some more of the city clerks to kind of help push a little bit on that, but other than that, the rest of the stuff is pretty similar to what it's been in years past. The recycling trailers have all now been switched out to those big dumpsters with the traps at the tops there, so that's all been switched. They have started running some test loads to Pope Douglas now because their sorting floor for recyclables is open. So we a while ago agreed to help pay for that optical sorter to help pluck stuff out of the solid waste. Well, that's now up and running after they got their whole floor redone, so we should get some feedback here in the next couple weeks on how that's going. But that's all I had for solid waste on that.
Okay.
But I'll say if you have any questions with that, can go to the next one too.
Go ahead.
Okay. The next deal is, so during the last legislative session, they approved a grant only for county ag inspectors to go after. So it's basically money to fund the position for the first time ever. So typically it's just been county levy dollars that is paid for Greg's time or my time or Ruben's to go do ag inspector stuff with noxious weed law. Now they appropriated 500 million to spread out across the counties through the Department of Ag, but they did it in a grant process, so you have to apply, and there's a couple minimum criterias, but the MDA basically said any county that applies will basically get it. It's almost like a guarantee, as much as they can give you without, so what I'm asking is for the permission to go at this grant and apply to use some of the money for funding. The minimum is about $5,000, but that's if every one of the 87 counties who has county ag inspectors goes after it. So they said anywhere between 5 and 10. They said once you apply, you just so I'll put in my deal $5,000, and then after they have gotten all their applicants, they'll come back with please revise your budget plan to show X dollars. Once they know how many it actually is.
It was 5 million, not 500.
My bad, yeah, 5 million, sorry. 5, not 5.
There's a comment in there.
My bad. Too many zeros when I was typing, but yeah,
So what can you use those funds for?
Ruben's time, my time when we're out and about looking at weeds, or when we publish in the paper that we're having our noxious weed law, or when we come to the townships and talk with that. There is a fluffy area, whether or not we can use it to pay for chemical for highway or pay for highway guys spraying time. MDA is still trying to figure out whether those are allowable expenses, because it is directly listed in statute what you can pay with that money. So they're dancing around whether or not that's allowed.
So we don't get it in-house, we have to exhaust it and then we apply
The
for
reimbursement
that.
grant, which right now you're exhausting the money anyways with no reimbursement at all.
Right.
So this is a chance to get some reimbursement. So, and it's not a ton of money, but it is enough to help offset some of them. I mean, some money is better than no money. It'll come again next year, and then next year we'll have even a better idea what it can be used for. And then after that, they'll have to go fight for it at the legislative level again. So, and that was through AMC and a bunch of other counties going down to testify. It's a pretty big deal for first time.
What are the reporting requirements, matching contribution? Is this gonna cost us $20,000 to get by?
Zero matching, no match at all. The reporting is no different than all the reporting a guy does already. There is a training thing you're supposed to do, but whenever you become a county ag inspector, you take it already, so we're already covered. They asked that the board give you a thumbs up or support that you can apply for this money is the other requirement. So that's what I'm here doing now. Plus, I also thought I should let you know before I would go apply for anything. So. But
Good question though, Troy, because sometimes there's a lot of grants.
Oh,
That's why we're having the conversation here, right? That's the whole idea, is free money usually ain't free.
Yeah, this one is
That's
doing
what
that.
you're on, right?
You're spending somebody else's money, you gotta follow their rules.
Yep, and the strings are pretty minimal on this one. They just couldn't pass it the way they wanted to directly allocate the money, so it had to go through a grant. The MDA keeps 3% of the money for admin, so. Not bad.
so is it more of a first come, first serve?
No. It's during this time period, whoever applies is basically gonna get it, and then they'll divvy it out amongst those.
Right, however many applicants.
So if they're all 87, the minimum, max is 5. If you get 60 of them, then they adjust. So. Not a bad gig. The minimum requirements are pretty minimal. Not a lot of effort on our end.
So you're just looking for a motion to apply it,
Yeah,
motion to apply for the grant.
yes. Yep. That is what I need.
So,
Second.
Motion and second, any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Yeah, 4 minutes.
I have 4 minutes, easily. Okay. What was the first thing on? I don't know.
Facility maintenance.
Okay, so, with, our emergency manager director taking on the facility department. We talked about compensation of what, we would do for that position being taking on a department. So we looked at the duties, which would be oversee, I think I sent you the document that shows all the duties that would be in this position. And so what we talked about, because we've never, done this before, instead of increasing steps, because then he'd lose steps or not have much for growth. The personnel committee decided and discussed, giving, him $1,000 a month, on top of his current, annual income, for taking on the duties and responsibilities of the facility department. So it would be about $5.77 an hour for those duties.
Do you have any questions on that?
So with that 5,000 or that $1,000, next to that, is that just $1,000 a month for the next 10 years or?
As long as he does I guess it could be negotiated, but as far as right now, that is what we would do.
what's proposed for taking over that? So added to the job description were not the duties of the facility manager. There was added to the emergency manager's job description that he also did that job. So there's technically 2 job descriptions. There's not just one.
And with him now, that's a hands-off position as far as snow removal.
Yep, so we, our building maintenance worker, building maintenance worker started on Monday, started yesterday. And so that position is designed to be boots on the ground, doing the maintenance day-to-day, cleaning, mowing, things like that. He is more of the, supervisor of the position and doing the budgets, the vendors, higher level things.
He is the backup though, so I mean, it's
Yep.
not, like he would never be out.
No, he can get in a snowplow, that's what I'm asking.
Mhm.
He can get in the snowplow and shovel a little bit.
Yep.
Okay, that's. Cause otherwise I think he's gonna get jammed up on some tough years once in a while
Mhm.
out there.
No, it would be, so, if you look at the role of the facility maintenance manager, it's that full, that's the job description that he also has on top of the emergency manager job description. So it's the backup, if individuals on vacation that week, that's his role.
Okay.
Any sick leave, vacation, any of that, correct?
Yep.
So you want a motion to,
Yes.
I'll like to motion to approve that.
Also to retro it back,
Yes.
retro it back to, I believe, when it was discussed, I believe it was June 17th.
Yeah, to the day when the board assigned those duties, yeah.
Yeah.
we have a motion, we get a second?
I'll second that with that information we just heard.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Do I have time for my second
I
one?
would show to the hearing.
We'll do the hearing now.
Okay.
It's 10 o'clock and we're gonna have a public hearing for proposed cannabis ordinance. This hearing will, Dwight's gonna talk a little bit. And then, Horizon Public Health, Angie and Jared are gonna give an update. And we can hold a question and answer session. Everyone will get 3 minutes or less to speak or ask a question, and one question at a time. So Dwight, you wanna?
Well, I just wanna just say a few words on that I'm as far as marijuana and stuff, I'm way conservative on that. But we have to do something because that's the law that was passed, so, you know, I come from a background where I seen what drugs and booze and excessive use of all that stuff done to people, so I probably could sit here and say that I wasn't really in favor of any law that says we should be selling marijuana or whatever, cannabis or whatever, but it's here and we gotta deal with it. I realize that. So, you know, we've been working now for quite some time on a ordinance. And, the county's responsible for, it says that we have to have one retailer or whatever for 12,500 people, but each town and each township can do what they want to as far as creating their own ordinance, and you can have as many as you want out there. I just feel that personally for me, one is too many, but one is enough. So, but every city and every township can make their decision on that. You can ride along with the county's ordinance and be done with it, or you can create your own and you know, do it basically what you want to within the state law. So that's what I got to say.
Okay, Angie, Jared?
We at Horizon Public Health have just been assisting our 5 counties with some public health recommendations, just to protect our youth in our communities. And just been really trying to assist the counties in any way.
Okay. So now does anybody have any questions or?
So I talked to Kenny and I understand that we aren't gonna get any tax money back from this now. At one time they were.
Yeah, as of now, it's
As of now, it's not.
right.
Okay, so there's gonna be increased policing and increased jail time and increased attorney's fees, and we're gonna get nothing out of it. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm sure we won't, yeah.
So is, now they're gonna have, do you have liquor licenses? Is there a way to license the dispensary? And then up the license fee to a point where it would help offset some of that cost for these guys or not?
I'm not sure what the license fee is.
I think that would be.
So the state issues licenses, the county and private public health will issue registrations. But unfortunately, they're very strict on how much we can charge on that. So we can't really increase that much.
Do you know how much a license, how much they are?
It's different for every license type. I think For low potency hemp edibles, $250, and then, a lot of the other ones are around $500.
Well, that's not gonna go very far.
How long can they get dragged out? Oh, that's two questions. Somebody else could ask that.
You're okay.
How long can you drag it out so you don't have to put up with it?
I don't know. How long can we drag this out? I don't know, I guess.
There is a applicant in another one of our counties currently waiting, and so the licenses are starting to come, the pre-approvals and the full licenses are starting to come from the Office of Cannabis Management. So we anticipate we're gonna have businesses wanting to apply sooner rather than later. It's unclear of how long we can make them wait. That would be a great question for our county attorney, but we're just trying to get ready with the processes in place so that when it does come, we have, some of those kind of public health recommendations to prevent youth use, public safety, things like that.
We were in place to be able to draw from the funds that was the sales tax that was collected. Okay, but we're low population out here and it's based on per capita, so it's like $2,500 that we got that first round of funding. So it is gonna be a boon for the county as a whole. It's gonna cost to administer the programs and babysit it. If it passes and, you know what I mean, and somebody comes out here, I don't know, it's traditionally, you know, the metros are kind of pushing this, as you guys probably know. You know, so we're stuck in the same path that they are, you know what I mean, we can't do anything that, you know, they kind of steer the state as a whole, the metros do. So, just gotta deal with it.
Is there potential applicants yet? Is there potential applicants in the county?
I haven't heard of any.
But Angie, could you just tell the visitors that, you know, there's the retail store, right? Okay, that says you gotta have at least one for every 12,500 people. But a lot of these other stores, they can sell these gummies or edibles, and basically, if they apply for that license and granted that, any retailer could sell that stuff, right?
Correct. You can limit retail registrations that are above a 0.3 potency. And so that's what the county has elected as the one business for the county. Low potency hemp edibles, you currently have some in Grant County right now. That's something that the state has done. That is gonna transfer to local, where we're gonna have to register those locally, but we can't put a cap on those. And so there could be as many as would fit within the ordinance.
And correct me if I'm wrong, did they go from a 10 to 15% tax on this products clear across the state?
Yes.
I have to believe they did. They picked that up a little bit because it was 10% to begin with. And the tribes up north, that's where this thing is all started, right? So it's, again, they're trying to generate revenue for the shortfalls that the state is staring at.
What was that question? There was a question.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, there is a question from Mandy Westrom from Roseville Township, and she says, how many licenses does the county expect to initially issue within the county once this process is complete? And I think it's just to reiterate, so the low potency edible stuff, that would be like the drinks at, the liquor store that has it in, or gummies, things like that. So currently we have how many of those in Grant County?
6.
6 in Grant County that are currently selling those. So there could be others that do in the future. We don't know how many that would be, but they would also have to go through the process of applying, so we would get, you know, the information about where they are. But the bigger one is the retail license. And our ordinance is as strict as it can be, and the strictest it can be is one retail license per 12,500 people. So the ordinance that Grant County is proposing says we would just approve one. So that's the most, and correct me if I misspeak, but that's the most we could ever have in Grant County for the retail.
The most under Grand County's ordinance, a city could come in and say, we're gonna have 10.
Right.
But that low potency, that can be more, and that's already in Grant County, when we look at the drinks or. I don't know if people sell gummies here or not, but I know there are some drinks at some of our establishments that already have it, but that could be more. But the retail, for those that follow the county ordinance, would just be one retail. Mandy, does that answer your question as well? Yes.
So the townships and the cities, there's a form there that you guys can sign. Dumping it all back on the county and then it'll be one retailer. But if a city wants to do something different or a township, they have to create their own ordinance. And have their own set of items in there that they wanna see, so. But,
Well, on the licensing, that's determined by the state of Minnesota, they apply through the state.
Yep, and then they have to apply, they have to register through local.
So work. The local obligation is basically zero other than limiting, and if someone that applies for a license and we're like, ooh, they probably shouldn't have one, do we have any stake in the game?
Not as much as we would like. There are a number of zoning setbacks here that would maybe disqualify them from getting the registration, as well as a couple other things here.
So the process, and please, again, if I misspeak, correct me, the process right now is, somebody in the county has to sign up for, it's called an Acela account. And when you got your delegation letter by email, it talks about that. If you're a township or a city that wants to have your own ordinance, you would have to have somebody that would have an account. And that is where you would go to see if people have made an application with the state. So in Grant County, as it sits right now, Reed Peterson with Environmental Services, because they deal with zoning and things like that already. And he's young and very smart with technology. He is the account holder for Acela in Grant County. So if somebody has an application in Grant County that they've applied with the state for, it would be in that account, and Reed would see that. And then if they meet all the requirements from the state, then they have to go through the process to meet the requirements that are outlined by the county ordinance, or if you had your own ordinance as a township or city.
Yep, and if a township or city doesn't delegate to the county, the township or city would have to have their own Acela account. And if you don't, then OCM assumes that it's gonna meet all your city and township zoning requirements. You have 30 days to respond to OCM, and then OCM would move forward with issuing them a license if they pass all the other background check qualification things. And so that's kind of the big difference is if you delegate it to the county will take on all of that. If you haven't, then the cities and townships are responsible for their own Acela account, their own ordinances, was mentioned, along with the annual compliance checks that are required.
Including hours of operation and things like that, correct?
Yep.
Now, they can make an ordinance more stringent than the one that we have? Can the townships do that? In the cities?
They can make their own ordinance, yes.
More
but-
stringent? More stringent.
Yes, but then they would still have to allow one in every 12,000.
Okay.
So what happened, if you have all 16 townships decide they're gonna do their own, now you have to have 16 licenses available.
Right.
So everybody has their own, so you have one per 12,500 people.
And let's say if there's one city that decides to do it on their own and the first applicant goes to the city and has a business there, then that would still count for the county's one. So then the county technically wouldn't have to administer that one since there's one already within the city.
yeah, and we wouldn't issue another one.
Correct.
much like the liquor licenses that this town does, they have two. Right, am I correct on that? And that's all you issue and allow, correct? Okay.
You weren't gonna sign up today, Roger, were you?
No.
Okay.
So that was my
But none
question.
of this licensing and applications and insurance, none of that is gonna be cheap, right? The odds of Grant County having one, there's the odds, but we don't have the foot traffic in Alexandria or Fergus or Morris is gonna have. Cause it's still a business, you gotta have the insurance, so you gotta have the foot traffic coming through.
Randy, I got one question for you. You've been working with other counties, you guys, right? So what are most of the, is there any townships in any other county that are doing this on their own? The township?
We're still working through the process. Some townships get back to the county more efficiently than the others. So I don't think anything's official right now.
Okay,
We know there's some cities that are doing it on their own, but we're unsure about townships, if they just haven't responded yet, or if they're choosing to keep it.
okay.
Mhm.
But there is some towns doing it, yeah, like, like I
City of
suppose
Alexandria is doing their own.
Morris doing it, maybe, I don't know.
Yes, the city of Morris has it.
Is there a timeline or deadline by a certain date townships and cities have to delegate? I mean, I know we are encouraging them to do it because it will help us with the process, but is there, by this state, is there a timeline or deadline that they have to?
Some of that is unclear. I think if there's a city or township that doesn't have an Excel account and OCM is ready to ask about zoning and they haven't delegated to the county. If there's no Excel account, then they can't respond within 30 days, and then OCM would assume it fit the zoning for that city and township and move forward. So I would just recommend you wanna do that sooner rather than later, so you don't have, or you don't miss your window to say, no, this does not fit by zoning, you can't have it right next to a school, or something like that.
So if you're not in favor of wanting things, it's to your benefit to get the delegation letter taken care of. That's what I'm hearing.
Okay, I got another question, Mr. Chair. So they got, the thing is plugged in that section 5 is temporary cannabis events. License and permit required by 4 temporary cannabis events. Now, is that something that the state is gonna allow? Because I've been reading up on, that the tribes are gonna be able to sell off premises. So they would probably come like with an RV or a trailer or something like that, and we would have to allow that. Like at a farmer's market or things like that? I mean, is that gonna be a possibility?
We have in the ordinance that there's no mobile sales, and so that removes the vans and buses and things like that.
Okay.
And that has to be brick and mortar, but what this temporary cannabis event is, it's an event that, specific that they would ask for, that can't be longer than 3 days in length. And the ordinance says it can't be on Grant County property, a variety of different things, so, it would be maybe a private event, maybe a wedding venue wants to have some sales or whatnot. That's where this would happen, or things like that. And we can't outright not allow license types. But if it doesn't fit within the confines of your ordinance, you cannot approve the event.
Okay. So you still got some power in
Correct.
how it's structured.
Yeah.
Sheriff, you got any comments or?
I don't. Unfortunate, it's something the state has pushed forward, and now we, the responsibility is to enforce it accordingly and manage it the best that we can. So we don't have a choice.
There is another question online, from Roseville Township, it's Mandy Westrom. Says this ordinance also includes cultivation and growing as well, is that correct? could someone expand on this as well? How would the county manage the actual growers in the county? Disclaimer, Mark and Mandy are not interested or intending on growing cannabis, but this should be discussed.
Right now, we have control over retail and other forms, like low potency hemp edible sales, temporary cannabis businesses, but we don't have control over manufacturing or cultivation. All those license types come directly from the state. And if it fits within the zoning of the county, then there's not a lot of local control. We're still looking into some details on that, but that's what we understand right now.
But there's a process, Angie, right? They gotta apply with the state and there's a whole bunch of, pretty stringent
Correct.
rules, right?
Yes.
That they have to follow. So.
So just a quick Google is, yes, Office of Cannabis Management and Minnesota Department of Agriculture are the two. If you were growing.
Watchdogs, that's what that is. And that's micro and meso.
Correct.
This is,
It says like
that up.
Minnesota, the Office of Cannabis Management, Minnesota Department of Ag.
So Department of Ag handles a lot of the seeds, and so seed law, that's out of their gig part, and cannabis management handles kind of all the registration and licensing. And this is not like take your garage and add 2 fans and you can grow, that's not legal. If this is a $500,000, $1 million, $2 million setup to get going, to grow legally.
Well, for production legal.
Or production and manufacturing. I don't know the person. That's not mine.
Anybody else have any questions or?
So feedback on the ordinance is what we need, otherwise we're gonna go forward with the ordinance. You know, then whether you delegate to the county or not is up to each subdivision, right? But that's.
But I think too, that if you're gonna delegate, then probably let us know as quick as you can, I would say, so that we can know where we're at with our 16 townships and our 7 towns.
Well, the benefit is truly yours, because otherwise if you get caught, somebody does apply and you don't have anything delegated, now you could wind up with a business without intending to having one.
And I mean, there's a temporary committee and Dwight and Ken Johnson sit on it, as commissioners, and John and Jen and Reed and myself and public health. And I think the end goal is when we get a little bit further down the road to have like a step-by-step process of how it would work in Grant County. Once an ordinance is approved and things like that. And maybe that's something we can then share with the cities and the townships, so you can see all the steps that are included once there becomes that application that's approved in the Acela state account. Then you can see at the county what our steps are, working with public health and, you know, making sure that it meets all the setbacks and things like that. Just for your information, if that helps you feel better about it, or just in case you have constituents in your jurisdiction that have questions, you would have an idea of what the process here locally is. We could share that once that gets finalized.
And in addition to delegating, you'll wanna, kind of formally submit that you're delegating on the Office of Cannabis Management website, so that OCM would know who to go to with those zoning requests.
So the email that you guys got, it has those instructions and the link in there with the letter. So then you would just go on there and you would answer the question. It's not a long process. And then they know right away that if there's questions or an application, it comes to the county and they're not assuming it goes to you or sending anything your way.
I got one more question, Mr. Chair. And you maybe can answer this. If somebody does apply for a micro or meso business out in the county or the townships, rural setting, they have to reclassify that property as commercial through that licensing process through the state, correct?
That would maybe be a Carl thing, that part I do not know, I don't, when they classify land, I don't.
Well, I think he told me that at one time, but I'm
There'd have to be some sort of reclassifying, because now the property's not residential or not.
Great.
Agriculture is being used for commercial use.
Great, okay. Maybe Carl's on, maybe he heard that.
I think it was the job.
We would look at the use of the property. Cannabis or growing of cannabis is not considered an agricultural product, so therefore it's not ag. And it's producing an income, we would classify it as commercial.
Thank you, sir.
Any more questions or comments or?
You know, doing more online. Or online.
No.
I got one thing, Mr. Sheriff.
Okay.
I'd just like to thank Public Health for helping us with this. Grant County is a part of a 5-county public health. And our local levy is about $46,000 a year to have all the public health services. It's one of the best deals I've ever seen, is sitting here anyway. So I want to thank you guys for helping us out.
I got one more question. Is any municipalities getting involved with it, like the city of Alec? They're doing their own, much like so they're doing their own dispensary,
Yep.
let alone liquor
Doesn't
stores.
have any caps of the.
No, I think he's asking it municipally, so
Oh.
the city itself.
Right.
Excuse me, not yet, no. I think everyone's a little hesitant on the insurance and things like that, so no, we're not aware of anybody
Okay.
having municipalities doing it.
Well, there is a CBD store over there by the Fleet Farm. So they must have allowed something moving forward.
So that would be considered a low potency hemp edible right now.
Yep, correct. Okay. A lot of rumors running around and, what's happening and stuff like that, so I had touched base with some of the commissioners over there. We sit on the regional boards and we ask and talk and just see what's going on and whether the city wants to, city of Alec I was told was gonna have a separate building because they didn't want the liquor with and have different employees and things like that, so I don't know what's happening since, I don't know, that's been a month and a half ago we talked on that.
Things are changing relatively quickly.
Yep.
Just because guidance from the state is also changing quite a bit. So I think we're gonna just see new information coming out, different decisions until I would say the process is a little bit more finalized.
Well, if there's nothing else, we'll adjourn the hearing and continue on with our rest of our county business. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
When we get to the committee stuff, I'm gonna bring up the public safety at 16. For the city, just so we can
Ashley?
have boards input, whether it is we just have, then we can do this at the guns.
That's right.
Alright. So I had sent you some information, regarding, PFMLA. Paid family medical leave, I'm sure you've heard and discuss that maybe with Western Prairie as well.
I read through it 3 times.
Did you? Great. So Paid Family Medical Leave Act is, gonna be gonna be starting January 26th. It is going to allow employees to take 12 weeks for, parental leave or 12 weeks for a medical leave with a 20-week cap. So if someone, you know, let's say someone has a baby, they can take medical leave for the 6 months or 6 weeks of, you know, until the doctor releases them, and then they can take the remainder up to 20 weeks for parental leave, but it's a cap at 20.
Actually, I got a question on that.
Mhm.
So, you know, the parents, if a father is a employee of Grant County, they qualify for that too, that same length of time?
Parental leave,
Same length of time,
12 weeks.
plus,
Well, they wouldn't get the medical because they didn't actually give birth for the medical part, the parental.
okay.
Just
But
like
if they had
FMLA,
qualifying medical event.
if they had, if they had a qualifying medical event, yes, then they could take the medical leave. But they did cap it at 20, for that paid time, so. And then it is on the calendar, it's not a calendar year, it's when you take it is when your year starts. Until you can take it again or you get your weeks back. And so this is a state-run system, so they are running it through just like unemployment. They have come back at, the counties that they are going to do at 0.88%, which is split between the employee and the employer, however that is determined. And so, however, their waiting time, they're saying 60 days before they could process any claims. So Integrity is who we go through our supplemental benefits through, and so they had asked if we wanted to go out for bid, to see if there was any carriers that were gonna take this on. So they went out for bids, they got a few options. Insurance committee met and he kind of went through all of the options. MetLife seems to be the best one coming back. They're coming back at 0.79%. So about a 10% decrease. Their turnaround time is a couple days, 2 to 5 days, depending on if you get all the information to them in time. So the employee has to fill out the application. We don't fill that out, but there's an approval, obviously, are they employed here, you know, to verify those kinds of questions. But their turnaround time seems to be a lot quicker. They have worked with in other states with this, so they're familiar with it. And so the insurance committee would recommend that we would go with MetLife. We have a 2-year guarantee with MetLife. We don't have any guarantees with the state. What we've been told is the state goes on mid-year. They're not on calendar year, so their increases could happen in July. So we could get an increase in July, and we haven't gone through a full year of this yet. So that's another example that he gave us as well. So the insurance committee would recommend that we go with MetLife for that 2-year guarantee, and for the processing time. But to do that, we have to provide one benefit through MetLife, and currently we do not. And so we looked at all the benefits. They went out again for bid to find out what benefits we could offer, if any. It was vision, dental, or if we were to move our Aflac to something else. So we looked at all the options. Our vision plan, the vision plan seems like the best option. It's a better benefit, and it actually adds 2 more in-network options in Alexandria and Fergus. So we would be, the insurance committee recommends that we would move our vision plan from IMED to MetLife for 2026. And then that would give us the 2-year guarantee with MetLife for the PFML.
And Integrity and MetLife have, like Western Prairie, they've agreed, they have a team so that will help us do this transition. So it's not, state doesn't, I hate to surprise anyone, but the state doesn't really know what they're doing.
No.
Where we have Integrity and MetLife that will have a dedicated Minnesota team to help everyone.
And they'll help us through the process where the state, you're just kind of on your own.
Well, the turnaround time was talked about as like up to 60 days.
60 days with the state, because they've never done it before.
They're guessing.
They're guessing. And then, MetLife is, 2 to 5, just depending on how they get all
MetLife,
their.
they've got a whole state.
Yep.
Was it Rhode Island or something they got? I mean,
So
the
they've
state
done this.
awarded him.
Yep.
So.
Right.
I will make a motion to move vision and then do the PFML
PFML with MetLife and then, moving our vision from IMED to MetLife for January 2026.
As a recommendation from the insurance committee, I will second that motion.
Any more discussion?
I got a question for you, like, you said the 60 days process that claim. So what happens to that employee then? Once he files that, he can go, right?
Mhm.
I mean, he.
Yep, so there's a-
60 days before they get any money.
Before they get their money.
So, but the county doesn't have to, the payment from MetLife, this company would go to the individual, right?
Mhm.
So the county's not cutting any checks there?
Well, they can get 70%. They only get 70% of their income. So the rest of that, they can use vacation and sick time.
Up to 70%.
Up to
because
70%.
It's, the more you make, the less you get.
Right. So whatever's remaining, they can use vacation and sick. So with the state plan, they could go with little to no check until they get their payment.
The real benefit with MetLife is, so Western Prairie as an example, is they have disability through them. So they only have to file one claim. They don't have to file different claims.
And again, the premium increase, we got a 2-year guarantee.
Yep.
Which is huge in my opinion.
Right, and we don't know what the state will do in their July, so we could get 6 months
State don't.
Yeah,
at 0.88, and then we could get a huge hike, we don't know.
I think I think they're just trying it just to see how it works. I don't know how many people participate, do you know?
Well, I think a lot of counties are looking into this option, I think there were 5 to 7 maybe that have agreed, but there were quite a few that were still talking to their boards and hadn't made the decision yet.
Any more questions or discussion or? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
I
Opposed? Carried.
I have, thank you.
They do a lot of talking out there, but they didn't talk in here.
They got plans for you.
They got plans for me? Good. Okay. Budget and Finance Committee?
We're transitioned from the introductory meetings, I think, to the more budgeting.
And we've met with every department one time, and so now I think Chad is gonna be working with each department, and then the committee will have to decide how you want to go about second meetings.
Right. And, yeah.
Building Committee?
Building meets this afternoon, right?
Yep, 1 o'clock, right?
Okay, Personnel?
Have we met recently?
Recently. Highway?
Well, I had Matt generate something that, we'll touch on here, and it's on the maintenance side, finishing asphalt patching on CASA 14, and we'll be going back to patch on CASA 5 and CASA 8. That's on the maintenance side of it. On the construction side of it, County Road 43 in Wendell is ongoing. Construction to resume today with paving by the end of the month. On Trunk Highway 55, the new culverts are installed and the old culverts have been removed. Now work to finish the dirt work and riprap. And culverts on 54 and County Road 2 for the Ditch 3 project have been completed. Just seeding and cleanup left. And on County Road 34 by Pine Ridge Park, both box culverts have been installed and concrete and distribution pads have been poured, paving in a couple of weeks. And that's all I got.
This is did the sprayer still broke down or what?
Yeah, I don't know, it was, I don't know if it is anymore.
Well, the mowers aren't broke, are they?
No,
Well, there's thistles out there 8 feet high.
okay, Guess I'll pass that information
I
along.
mean, when they did the top cutter, whatever they did, they go right by the thistle patches, they could have mowed them off on the way by, but they didn't, so. I just brought it up because
I had a discussion when Bill and I were at the highway there with Pat. He said the sprayer, this was like 2 weeks ago, he said the sprayer was gonna get fixed shortly.
well, I don't do no good now because they're all blossomed
Yeah,
out.
they're all,
They're all,
they gotta be ground down. Yeah, the inslope and the back slope and the ditches and stuff like that, but you know, it's been raining and they've been busy. Got a lot going on in the county here, so they're trying.
public safety,
So I met with Chad and we came up with a percentage to use for law enforcement contract for the city, and that is. We based it off of 24 expenses, but we did estimate like squad leases, we were unable to get new squads. So were we paying a reduced rate, I think, on the old ones? Anyway, we've gotten the new ones and the rate has gone up slightly, so we've done we had to estimate like utilities for the law enforcement building. We came up with 16.8% is what we're recommending go into that contract, so. I don't know how else to do it other than to go back to 24 and use those actual expenses where we estimated where we had to. But we would be going back to the 24 rate for the cities. So that's how you get there. So I mean, is the board acceptable to get that to Justin to get written into a new contract that we would use that 16.8%? So that when we get into 26, we'll look at 25 actual expenses multiplied by that 16.8%. That's what their 27 rate will be. So they will have that. One of the things we agreed to is they want to have that early on. So they would have that amount by April 1st. Yeah, the end of the first quarter.
Explain that, Troy, explain that 16%.
So take any year you want going forward, and it'll be everything other than a bond payment. So everything to run the sheriff's office other than the bond payment. And you take what the actual expenses are. So when we get into February of 26, we'll go and ask Chad, what were the actual expenses? And he'll have that. You multiply that by 16.8%. So you have a dollar figure. You divide that back out by the total hours. So Elm Lake has 8 a day, Barrett has 2 a day, and that's how you get your new rate per hour. So that, because when we met with the mayor, they were more interested in, rather than just continually 3%, they were more interested in paying an actual percentage of, paying a percentage of the actual expenses.
clear as mud.
I got it now, though.
Does anybody have a problem? I mean, so realistically, we're going back 2 years in what we would be for police contracts, what we would be bringing in. But I don't know how else to do it. If you're gonna go off of actual expenses, you have to go backwards to go forwards.
Yeah, you gotta start someplace.
So
This will be there.
are all our contracts, 1 year now?
They all expire after this year, and what we talked about with the clerks and the mayor is, and that's part of the getting it by April 1st, the amount is, the contracts are essentially perpetual. So we'll get them the amount by April 1st, and unless, for their budgeting, but they can review it, so unless they have an issue with that, which they would need to raise, it would be put into everyone's budget and we would go forward. So it's not really like a 3-year contract, it's, until there's an objection, it's ongoing. But yeah, currently everything expires at the end of this year.
Would you ever take the 16.8, like in 2 or 3 years? Look at that again?
We can, I mean, so I suspect the first couple of years, we're gonna be watching that percentage pretty close, because we don't have hard numbers of what utilities cost and the squad leases. I mean, you could wind up having the next round of squad leases just explode, right? So I mean, if we don't watch it and review, we could wind up with everybody just saying no because it just blew up, right?
So what was the price of the squad leases moving forward? Was there a change in that? You were talking about that in the beginning.
Yeah,
20 cents a mile and now it's 25 cents a mile.
I don't know that, it was
Yeah,
just me
we weren't discussing that.
You never went down that road.
No, just our overall costs for all of
Okay.
this is what,
Just the whole package.
yes.
Okay, I didn't know if you broke it out or what you did there. Okay.
Okay,
so are we good to go with that plan? That's fine.
Sure.
Okay. 'Cause we don't have to do, I mean, till we have a contract in front of us, we don't have to.
Act on it.
Right.
We
So-
are gonna meet in 2 weeks, I think, to talk about, city contracts, like, just so we can get the wording that we want, for sure, and then we'll give it to Justin, and Justin will make us a new one.
19th.
Yeah.
Good, I see it there now.
Is there anything else that you guys want?
Can you send, let the cities know budgeting wise, that's what we're looking at, so they know, cause they're gonna have to get it in their budgets and.
I know, we're gonna be late this year.
Well, right, the contract doesn't technically, I mean, if they know and are good with the amount for next year, we'll have a little more time. But yeah, we should have that to them before, so I would hope they're all happy to go back to the 24 rates, but.
Okay, solid waste.
The Solid Waste Committee met, and, you know, we're working on, a slow transition to some new changes. And there is going to be a meeting August 12th, I believe. And all the people that will be affected by the rate change have received invite letters from, environmental services for that meeting. So that will be coming up by next week, I guess, and so there will be more updates to come, I'm sure, after that, but things are going forward and people are getting the information and there's been feedback, you know, some people are glad to see it, others, you know, wanna understand it, if they have to pay a little bit more, but I feel like once everything's explained, there seems to be a general consensus for the most part of understanding that it's to make everything more equitable for all, so.
The rest of it I heard, it wasn't a conversation with me, it was someone, well, I understand it, but I'm not happy.
Yeah. So that meeting will be August 12th, and like I said, everybody that's affected by the changes has received a letter for the meeting, so they all know.
Strategic planning.
We met with the License Bureau and the treasurer, was it last week? And it was mostly centered around ongoing or going forward personnel things, so I don't wanna get too far down personnel forward, but that's what we've done in the last. I don't think we met in July, well, that was July, they're the only one recently.
And so there was discussion about some leadership training for department heads. Ashley stayed to share the information she's collected on that.
Yeah, it's a training through NICO, and so that we are a member of. Pay a membership for, and so they offer a leadership academy. It's a 12-week virtual training that department head supervisors can, well, really anybody, but the strategic planning committee talked about maybe offering it to department heads or supervisors, commissioners. If you said they have 4 different cohorts that they have for 12 weeks throughout the year that they can go to. And if you buy 10 seats, it's $1,500 a person.
Yeah, that's what I've seen.
To go through it, yeah, and so, but if you buy 10, it can be anytime throughout the year, it doesn't have to be all at once. And so that is a training that, I have been looking into to possibly offer. The one that I did see through AMC is just for coordinators, administrators, commissioners, so that one is not for everybody, so. This one, I've heard great things about, when I've been to my conferences that they've sent employees and they've had good results. And it has been, they go through, I mean, it talks, what I sent, I think I sent it, I sent it to you, I think, and it just goes through all of the topics that they discuss. And it's for you, you kind of designate 4 to 5 hours a week for it. When you're in the 12-week program, so.
And there is some potential grant funding to pay for it through probation. If they can be included to take the training as well. So Tony, I connected actually with Tony in as far as how we would go about applying for that, how much might be available for some training like this. So more to come on that too.
So do we know anything about if we wait and get into 26, if that NACO is gonna go up, right?
I think it's about the same price throughout the year, and I can check on that, I haven't heard. But the information I'm getting is from another county, Clay County, actually it's just sent 10 employees through, and I've been talking with her about it. And so I have tried to get a hold of NACO, they have not responded to me. But I don't know that. I mean, our membership stays the same, but
The price of the membership, isn't that like $700 or what is that
I
number?
don't know what it is.
But I think we should find out if we have interest to get 10, and then the question becomes, do we budget it and do it next year or just do it?
And I can ask probation how much they'd be willing to, I could just say, this is what the cost will be, what would you contribute, and then I can bring that information.
Yeah, that's best. So I think to me, I think the return is worth that investment. So that the 4th group cohort, that started in September?
No, so, well, there is gonna be one starting at August 11th,
Yeah, that were,
and so through October. Yeah, graduation is October, so there's that on there, so we'd be looking at,
then that's the one after that.
Yeah.
At the earliest, so.
Yep.
Let's find out what probation is willing to do and then,
For grant, what's available through their grant.
yeah, and then. How much, you said you had something left in your training budget?
I have a, not gonna go far, but I have a little bit. Yeah. Just depending on, I guess, who signed up, we don't know.
Well, so, I mean, that's the question is, cause if we don't have 10, the price is $22.50, something like that, 2,500. So. I would say, let's see who's interested, cause if we're not gonna get, if we get 9, we're in that tough spot, right?
And this is that High Performance Leadership Academy, that is?
Yep.
Yeah, they just sent another email out yesterday. That shows everything that's proven outcomes about the program, affordable investment.
Yeah, I heard good things.
Okay. Good.
Horizon Public Health,
We didn't discuss too much. And,
I was there, I guess. but-
yeah, so. We got another meeting on Monday.
Okay, Western Prairie,
I have one other one too, Doyle.
okay,
West Central, juvenile detention, I'm on that committee. We meet every 3 months. But, the last meeting I was at, a couple weeks ago. They went through the 26 budget. And then, so West Central is made up of, member counties. There's like, 10 maybe. And then they also house for non-member counties. And the non-member counties are, the revenue off of that is big time. It was over $1 million. And so what they do with that, is they break that down and they give each member county a little credit. So we're saving like, we were projected at 55,189 and they gave us a credit of 16,710. So our actual, budgeted expense for, the detention center is 38,479, and they got a hold of Chad and gave that information. So that's a good deal, those outside revenues there. So, yeah, and then I'm also on this probation that Tina's talking about. We're gonna meet on Friday in Graceville, I think. I got it on my calendar here, but, and yeah, that's a 5-county deal too. And each county gets quite a little money from the state each year now. And so there's some money there for things like this, so I'll talk to them again about that. And,
Yeah, Tony came to me and told me that they
Yeah.
have funds available for training.
yeah,
If they can be included with our county staff for the training, they can help fund it through their grants, so.
well, that was good.
So they've kept that, spreadsheet that we got a couple of years ago, they've kept that probation line item in place and backfilled it with grant dollars. Is that what's going on there? So
We don't, we could ask Chad, but I think we just gave them all that money. Which
Yeah.
doesn't go through us to them anymore, I think it goes to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be a good question to ask. I know what's going on there.
Well, it was my, thoughts that the county, we didn't have to levy. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but we used to levy like 50,000 a year for that program.
Well,
And
and
now-
again, this is the Chad question, but I think you're right, we used to.
Yeah.
But then at some point, the state started giving money
Right,
and they gave us more than what we were being charged.
yes,
So that wound up being the problem, is now we're getting more in than we're paying.
right,
So it all just, we said, no, we don't wanna be involved in this accounting nightmare, just send it right to them.
yeah, no, you're right on that. Cause, but what I'm saying is the counties, we're not really levying anything for that program anymore at this point.
Now, yeah,
Now,
yep,
but it's a conservative, I think each county, it might be, but it's over 100,000 a year.
it is, I think.
So it's a good problem, but we were underfunded all those years. The state said they were supposed to give us so much and they were only giving us like half of what we were supposed to give. So the county was fronting,
Maybe they're not.
we were subsidizing that budget more than we should have done. But, so it's a good problem. That's what Tony called it anyway.
But I know, on the library thing and what we gotta pay them, that went up 1% this year. So it'll be $700 and some dollars, I think it is, but
They're coming to the next board meeting with their request, by
Yep.
the library.
yeah, it went up 1%, so.
Then we do have another out of child placement that is on the direct county roll. Last year, we were over on our budget, and that individual, that was September, they figured that would be out. But it could be another, I don't think we'll go over budget on this one, but we're using that budget amount again.
So it was like 40,000, is that?
Well, it was 30 last year, we paid 38, we went back to 40, and we won't use all of that, I don't anticipate, maybe. But if we have another one before the end of the year,
What was that line item called again?
child cost of
Cost of
child care,
childcare.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to go social services and sheriff, so there was a little bit of a struggle. So it ended up, we put it on the county budget.
It wasn't social services, but it needed to come out of there because nobody controlled the placement, and then we restored off of the placement, so it got its own. To the sheriff at that time said he didn't want it in his budget, no.
Okay,
That's all clear.
yeah.
Anybody got anything else? Are you sure?
I'm done. I need to use the restroom.
Yeah.
I do.
I need to go home now and see if my computer works at home.
Print off a bunch of hard copies.
Maybe Troy would know. I couldn't get my RSA to work at home. I could log in with my password, then it would call for the
Yeah, we're-
RSA and it wouldn't take it.
We'll
So
start
has it been more than that, Seth? Did you time out?
11 o'clock.
How long since you've been in?
Uh,
Like you were gone last week, was it more than 7 days since you logged in?
no.
You may have to come back tomorrow and see, IT. I don't,
Yeah. I'll go home and try it again, but. Yeah, so, cause I'm not a big computer guy, but I'm lost without my computer.